Hey guys, Brawler Brainstorm is back. Before I go back to talking about newcomer possibilities for individual franchises, I want to revisit the 8 franchises I talked about to see who was deconfirmed, who I think has a different chance at being playable, and talk about some characters I missed. I'll also be adding a new thing to Brawler Brainstorm where I give characters a score of how likely they are, similar to other speculation videos like Rate That Character by Source Gaming. 0 to 30% means unlikely, 30 to 60% is the middle range, and 60 to 90% means likely. So first, who's deconfirmed? From the Mario series, Waluigi is an assist trophy. Also, Toad remains part of Peach's and now Daisy's moveset. Although, we could still get Captain Toad. But hey, like I said in the video, King Boo might be a newcomer now that Waluigi and Toad aren't playable. You know what? I think King Boo now has a decent chance of being playable because of this. From Pokemon, Alolan Raichu has been confirmed to be a Pokeball Pokemon. Strange how they decide to make the unique Pokemon from Pikachu's evolutionary line into a Pokeball Pokemon, and they decide to bring back a non-unique Pokemon from Pikachu's evolutionary line as a playable fighter. From Earthbound and Mother 3, Ness's friends Paula and Pooh are part of Ness's Final Smash, Ness's other friend Jeff remains as an assist trophy, and Lucas's friends Kumatora and Boney are part of his Final Smash. And finally, with the Magic Ant stage back, it's most likely that Flying Man is still a hazard. We haven't seen him yet, but I feel like this deconfirms him. Now for characters whose scores I gave them changed. For Mario, I already talked about King Boo, but as for Captain Toad, since the Toads are used more in Peach and Daisy's movesets, I think that his chances are slightly lower, but I do still think that he does have a decent chance. For Donkey Kong, I actually think due to Dixie's lack of unique traits, she may not be a priority. Some also suggest that she can be an Echo Fighter of Diddy Kong, but she doesn't have Diddy's Rocket Barrel jetpack or anything like that. Because of this, I feel her chances decreased to the mid-range. However, there is one character who I feel has an increased chance, and that's Funky Kong. I think the Tropical Freeze port came out or was near release around the time of making Echo Fighters, so maybe Funky Kong will actually be playable as an Echo Fighter of Donkey Kong. I don't think this drastically changes his chances, but it brings him up from unlikely to the mid-range. Sorry, Dixie. For Earthbound, I said Nintendo's lack of originality could have been against him, but this could actually make him an Echo Fighter of Ness. Also, Earthbound Beginnings is no longer Japan exclusive, so I think he may actually have a high chance of being an Echo Fighter. As for Masked Man as a Lucas Echo Fighter, it could happen, but there is the fact that he isn't really known outside of Japan, so it might not happen. I don't know, there's a lot of cons, but I'll put him around the mid and unlikely range. For Punch-Out, as much as I think it would be a waste of potential, we could get a Punch-Out character as an Echo Fighter of Little Mac. So I'll raise the chance of a Punch-Out newcomer from unlikely to possible. Now on to some characters some people told me I missed, or I felt like I missed. For Mario, I didn't bring up Paper Mario. Paper Mario is a unique character who is highly requested by fans, and could be an Echo Fighter of Mario if Sakurai chooses to do so. There is one big thing against him, and that's the fact that Paper Mario is a spin-off character. Sakurai doesn't usually include characters from spin-offs as playable characters, but spin-offs are usually represented in different ways, like stages. One of these spin-off game stages is a Paper Mario stage. So Sakurai may feel like he doesn't need to represent Paper Mario with a playable character. There's a mix of pros and cons, so I'll give him the mid-range. Another character is Geno. Wait, I'm not talking about Geno in this? Why not? Oh, okay. Well, stay tuned for a later Brawler Brainstorm to see what I have to say about Geno. For Donkey Kong, I talked about all the playable characters in Tropical Freeze except for Cranky Kong. He is more unique than Dixie, but he seems like he would be better as an assist trophy rather than a character. I don't see him being playable. An idea I've seen a little bit was the idea of making Donkey Kong Jr. as a retro character. The thing is, he seems like he would be a combination of Donkey Kong and Mr. Game & Watch, since most moveset ideas involve Donkey Kong moves and Mr. Game & Watch moves like the key and Stanley the Bugman's bug sprayer. This may make it seem like he could be an Echo Fighter, but Funky Kong seems like he would be a better Donkey Kong Echo Fighter because of his appearance in the latest Donkey Kong game. DK Jr. just seems like he'll remain as a forgotten Donkey Kong character. For Pokemon, before I get to Gen 7 Pokemon I missed, I want to talk about a Gen 3 Pokemon, Grovyle. Around the time of Smash 4 DLC, many people were suggesting Sceptile, the fully evolved form of Trico. But this concept for the middle stage Pokemon from Trico's evolutionary line is to have him represent the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games. Grovyle is a main character in multiple Mystery Dungeon games, but like I said about Paper Mario, I don't think we'll get a Pokemon character based off of a spin-off game. Also, Grovyle is no longer relevant and isn't as popular of a request as Sceptile, and Sceptile isn't even requested as much anymore. On to Gen 7 Pokemon. I talked about how I thought Lycanroc is the most likely Pokemon from Sun and Moon because of how much support Game Freak is giving Lycanroc. So yeah, I still believe he's more likely than Decidueye. Another Pokemon that's commonly brought up is Mimikyu. Mimikyu is popular in Japan and has a unique ability and has an unseen personality for a Pokemon character. The thing is, Mimikyu seems like it would be a good Pokeball Pokemon, where, like Greninja's substitute attack, Mimikyu would take an attack for the player who summons it, and attacks with something like Shadow Claw. I'll put Mimikyu in the middle range. The last one is a mythical Pokemon, Zeraora. Zeraora wasn't made around the time Smash development started, so I think the only way it'll be playable is if Sakurai wants a Pokemon Echo Fighter and Game Freak suggests Zeraora as a Lucario Echo Fighter, so that way it could gain attention from fans. It could happen, but there's also a lot of points against it. I'll give Zeraora a combination of the low and middle chance. For Earthbound, when I brought up heroes and villains, I didn't bring up Porky because I didn't think he had a chance. He was apparently in some rumor that listed characters that would be in Smash Ultimate, but first of all, that leak has nothing that points to it being real, and I feel like he has Ridley syndrome. His mech is too big, and scaling it down would just seem really weird. Not only would the mech be fighter-sized, but Porky himself would be extremely tiny. I don't think he has a chance. For Punch-Out, we could get a boxer not seen in Punch-Out Wii, like Piston Hurricane from the original, which is a Switch arcade archive, but I personally don't see them as likely as anyone from Punch-Out Wii. For Capcom, I showed Phoenix Wright and Amaterasu, but I didn't actually talk about them. All Ace Attorney games have been on Nintendo consoles, and Phoenix Wright could be a good joke character who fights by throwing paperwork and using speech bubbles that say things like for his smash attacks. Also, he could have a Final Smash where he sues his opponents. The thing is, I'm not sure if he could completely work, but you know, I'll put him in the middle range. As for Amaterasu, I can see her working as a character, and the Okami games have been on Nintendo consoles, where they seem to work best because the Wii and Switch motion controls make it easier to write Japanese symbols. I'm not completely confident in Amaterasu, but I think she has a decent chance. Finally, I've seen some requests for Morrigan from one of Capcom's fighting game franchises, Darkstalkers. The thing is, we already have a Capcom fighting game character in Smash Bros, and Street Fighter is more popular than Darkstalkers. Plus, Morrigan is a succubus, which could negatively affect her chances. Yes, we have Bayonetta, who's an Umbra Witch, which strips every time she summons limbs of Madama Butterfly, and she was able to get censored and join Smash. But she also won this thing called the Smash Bros. Fighter Ballot, which Morrigan did not. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get Morrigan in Smash. For Ubisoft, I mentioned the possibilities of characters like Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell, Aiden Pierce from Watch Dogs, and whatever the Assassin's Creed guys called, being costumes for a rabbit. But what are the chances of them being playable? Honestly, I think their chances are super low. Their games are very realistic, and while we do have Snake, who's from a very realistic game series, Sakurai's good friends with his creator, Hideo Kojima. So I feel like he would rather favor someone more cartoony like Rayman or a rabbit. So, though these characters are from some of Ubisoft's most popular franchises, I doubt they'll be in Smash Bros. Finally for Rare, I mentioned James Bond from GoldenEye 007, but I didn't talk about him. Sakurai considered him for Smash 64 and Melee, but he wasn't made into a fighter for reasons that would still hold him back today. First of all, Nintendo doesn't own Rare, who don't even own the rights to James Bond anymore. This would mean Nintendo would have to buy the license to use James Bond from Eon Productions. Another issue is that he uses real firearms, but Bayonetta proves that this isn't a big issue. But another issue that wasn't really that relevant back when Smash 64 and Melee were in development, but is now, is that GoldenEye 007 came out in 1997. So he's no longer relevant, and might have been a forgotten consideration to Sakurai. Honestly, I think James Bond has a 0% chance of being in this game. There are almost no pros and so many cons. Finally, I forgot to talk about Conker when I made this video, but here are my thoughts. Conker started out as a family-friendly character in Conker's Pocket Tales for the Game Boy Color, but then he rose in popularity with Conker's Bad Fur Day, which had a huge change, which can be seen with the age rating. Yeah, Conker games had a huge shift, but this game was never topped by any other Conker game. Oh God! So with him not being very popular or relevant anymore, and the fact that he's a cartoon character that looks like he's kid-friendly, but is mostly present in mature games, I think his chances are extremely low. Well, those are all the characters I thought I missed. If you think there are more characters I missed, tell me in the comments, and I may make another one of these Brawler Brainstorm episodes. Let me know your thoughts on this episode in the comments below, and stay tuned for the next episode when I talk about Kirby characters.